Occult was monotonously mopping the floor when brisk steps sounded from far in front of him. It was Lucifer, followed by Archangel Michael. Something told the demon that this wasn't good, but something inside of him prevented him from dreading the oncoming reprisals. The King of Hell looked especially grim and disappointed, whereas Michael seemed to be worried, deeply worried, judging from his bearing. Although Occult clenched the mop firmly, he didn't look away when the devil approached. "Didn't I tell you to not do anything stupid? To forget about your little venture?" The words were as harsh as the steps had been brisk, making the demon avoid his eyes in shame. Occult had no clear picture of what had happened, which had led Lucifer to notice his betrayal. The fact that the demon had done it was enough to feel guilty. "I thought—" No, you didn't think. If you would have, there would be no problem." Occult had difficulties to keep his composure under the burning stare and the thundering voice. His legs started to tremble. They did it very slightly, but tremble they did. "Calm down, brother." Michael placed a hand on Lucifer's shoulder. His sleeve lifted slightly due to the stretched arm, revealing brands of twisted symbols. "I know someone just as thoughtless." Even if he spoke warmly, the demon sensed the underlying fear of the Archangel. He hadn't thought about the possibility that he could cause such distress for Michael. Ashamed, he avoided his gaze. "There's no need to bring up my screw-ups. His are bigger." Occult couldn't fathom the reason for his king's outbreak. Something must have happened, something more than just his own betrayal. Yet not in his darkest dreams would he have imagined what came next. "Did you meet with an angel named Raphaelin on Earth?" Michael asked the shaking demon, who barely managed to nod. The confirmation let the golden eyes of Lucifer burn even more. "Mopping hallways will be your full-time job from now on," his king snarled. Occult swallowed, gathering the strength to speak. What happened?" For a moment, both the Archangel and Devil stared at the demon. "She vanished," Michael stated in a low tone. There was a strange glint in the silver eyes. "I heard from other angels that she tended to sneak towards Earth for a while now already. And when I went looking for her, I only found this." Michael handed Occult a bunch of flowers similar to the one he had given her. Amongst orange petunias and blue cornflowers stuck one of her fluffy feathers. It was torn at several places, and some of the flowers were trampled, the leaves ripped off. Cold panic gripped the demon's heart. This was his fault. He had left her there, on Earth, undefended. If he would have been there... "Where did you find it?" But the Archangel only shook his head. "I can't tell you that. But..." Occult's courage faded underneath the stern stare of his king. "No but," the devil snapped. "We don't need you sneaking around getting captured as well." "It is my fault," the demon shot back, discarding his fears once and for all. "If anything happened to her, I have to do something. You did enough already. Stay here, do your bloody job, and stop acting like a child." Lucifer already turned to go when Michael made an effort to comfort the demon. "I'll do what I can. It would be foolish of you to do anything rash. The earthly plane is dangerous in its own ways." "But," Occult muttered to himself, watching the two entities go back the way they had come. What had he done? Unleashed catastrophe? Raphaelin could be hurt, or worse, and he would be at fault. His paining heart sank to the ground as he stood, frozen to the spot and unable to think. He looked at the bunch of flowers and the torn feather. Occult was a demon. All those eons he had never cried, not out of sorrow. But right now he felt tears rise up for the second time as they wetted the petals of what Michael and Lucifer had found when looking for Raphaelin. It was the usual tugging at his soul when someone on Earth performed a summoning spell that let Occult snap out of his sorrow. It was a general calling, and therefore the one who responded first was dragged out of hell. Although in the last decades Lucifer had installed a system in which a secretary would give permission to one demon to step forward. It avoided needless wrestling to be the first and ensured that someone suited would reach the mortal realm. Occult had never cared much for spells, summonings, or earth in general. Mild curiosity, but most of that was satisfied by the peeks he got from the dead mortal's memories. This time was different. Something inside forced him to rush to heed the call. It would be his only chance to get to the earthly plane and find Raphaelin. Partly driven by his guilt, partly driven by protectiveness, the demon spread his wings to follow the call. The demoness attempting to follow the call was rudely pushed aside, and the demon uttered a quick "sorry" on his way past her. The yellow eyes showed angered surprise, but Occult had no time for hell's bureaucracy. Lucifer would drag him back once he was notified, and Occult had to be out of sight by then. Entering once again the twisting, turning whirlpool, he found himself standing in a nice living room. Dozens of cats sat around the circle with vigilantly glowing eyes. He felt the restraining spell and tried to move. A sharp hissing noise sounded from a white Persian next to him. A black Siamese uttered a growl. "Here, play the music, youngling." The raspy voice of an old woman sounded immediately in front of him. She must have been a witch. Only a witch would address a demon like that. White strands crisscrossed the brown hair, and in her hands she held yet another cat. The fur was white as well as brown and black. She looked a bit sick there in her owner's arms. "She ate something poisonous," the old woman explained as he stared at the feline in puzzlement. "Doctors don't care about anyone but humans, and my herbs don't do it anymore. You are a healer, aren't you?" She squinted her eyes at him, making the demon draw back as far as magic permitted him to. He hadn't thought about the possibility that the summoner might be in need of certain abilities. Blue-grey eyes grew suspicious when he didn't answer. Occult nodded hastily, hoping he truly would be able to perform the desired act. "Good," the witch uttered, satisfied. "What you want?" "What? Is that your first time making a pact? You give me something and I give you something. Right, yeah, He swallowed again as he took a leap of faith and hoped she wouldn't laugh. "I want to be let free." The witch actually managed to let the woman's mouth remain ajar. I won't do it for anything else." Occult managed to stutter, yet the firmness of his voice was a joke even to him. "What do an infant like you want on Earth?" "I don't plan to kill people." "Would have laughed if you would have wanted to." The demon felt even more ridiculous when she regarded him with a grin. He might not be the typical demon, but he could still be dangerous. "It's a deal then." The witch reached out to shake hands. Occult took it and healed the cat. His rudimentary healing skills seemed to be enough for that small creature. He still was an angel after all, though fallen. The realization caused an unexpected smile. "That's finished then," she mumbled when she erased the spell. At once, the cats around overwhelmed him out of gratitude for healing their family member. "Please, help!" He spoke through fur and purrs, causing the old woman to laugh. "What kind of demon are you?" she exclaimed as she helped him up and led him to the front door. "You sure you don't want to go back down? You seem far too uncomfortable up here." "I have to." His tone had suddenly grown determined, making the woman take another look at the unforeseen change in his demeanor. "Thank you, Miss Witch." Occult spread his wings to ascend into the cloudy sky. Raphaelin must be somewhere in Britain. It was where they had met. A tight knot formed in his stomach upon thinking what might have happened. The demon had no idea where he was after aimlessly flying into no straight direction. He had found a city close to England's shore when the heavy rain forced him to look for shelter. Occult saw sailors and workers lift crates and roll barrels. Other sailors passed him by on their way to some liquid and perhaps a bit more. Their faces made the impression that only one wrong glance could provoke a fight. He felt utterly lost, standing in the rain. A drunken man clapped him on the shoulder, making the demon jump. "Where did you come from? Lived in the Highlands up to now, eh?" The man didn't wait for a response, but stumbled onwards. The uncomfortable sensation of being in foreign land crept up his spine. He didn't know the city or anyone living in it, and the unknown human behavior scared him. Pulling himself together, he went away from the harbor and forward into uncertainty. People hastened through the rain, dragging their heads deep into their faces. Horse carriages rolled through the streets, accompanied by the clicking hoofs on the cobblestone. Occult felt the rain soaking him from head to toe, and his clothes started to stick to his skin due to the wetness. Streams of water flowed along the gutters. The demon saw restaurants and cafes, smoking men and women trying to stay dry on their way home. There were many people, too many for his taste. Occult sometimes picked up scraps of conversations, not always in English, as merchants from everywhere and migrants looking for an improved life crowded in the streets. Nobody paid him any attention, and yet he was exhausted from the sheer number of people around. Finding an abandoned back alley, he sank to the ground. How was he supposed to find Rayfelin in that ant colony? "I am a bloody fool," he sighed into the rain. The demon didn't leave his safe haven of solitude until it was dark. The rain, too, had lessened, and he strolled through the emptier streets with new strength. He still didn't know how to go about finding the angel. It wasn't as if he could just ask around. It was when he crossed the park that someone unseen emptied a pot of water from behind. Something strange happened when the liquid came in contact with the demon. He felt numbed for a moment as the water evaporated instantly. Alarmed, he turned around, seeing a man in a suit and a wooden cross around his neck. The empty pot still in the human's hands, he stared at the demon. The eyes widened and the mortal started trembling at once. Could he see Occult for what he was? "By the Lord above, I knew it!" Still stunned by the holy water, the demon attempted to get out of sight when someone else hit him on the head. "Ouch!" he cursed, but his words were cut off by more blows. More people came from the shadows, and when he felt a needle pierce his skin, everything went black. Consciousness came slowly to the demon as he found himself standing between two large fires. Beneath his feet, on the stony ground, he saw some kind of circle. Although his injuries from the assault had healed already long since, the effect of the consecrated ground caused him to remain in a state of stunned confusion and numbness. It weakened him enough to just stay motionless, staring at the ground. Occult felt the uncomfortable position of his hands having been tied above his head, fastened to some structure or ceiling. He was a demon, yet the fires gave him the feeling of being threatened. With effort he raised his head. There was only one man in front of him, clothed like a priest and holding a crucifix. Their eyes locked, but the man said nothing. "Look," Occult tried to sound casual and friendly despite his current position. "This is all a misunderstanding." The priest frowned and turned to get his Bible. "Lord, protect us from evil." "I'm not evil, well, that's probably debatable." "And deliver this poor young man from the demon possessing him." "I'm not possessing anyone. This is what I look like." Occult tried to break free, but his attempts were futile. He was under the cleansing influence for far too long already. Dread's thrall was starting to take hold of the demon's heart. The last summoning had been a coincidence, and Occult had had surprise on his side. Hell would be warned now. His king righteously furious and looking for the renegade. "Wait! I can't go back to hell. Not yet!" he yelled in panic, but the priest continued with his incantations, deaf to the demon's pleadings. "Listen, you bloody fool! I'll go back. Just give me a bit of time here." He felt the spiritual force pressing him to the ground even more as the procedure of him being cast back into hell started. It was an indescribable pain, like being crushed and cooked at the same time. Who would want to live in your miserable rainy city anyway? Stinking of rats and people! He snapped as hopeless rage infiltrated his mind. A human would have started to beg to the Lord above at that moment. Occult, however, was a demon. Demons didn't have anyone to beg. Demons were alone in the mists of creation, unable to die or be redeemed. Their safety was the certainty of never-ending hellfire and misery. And she would be lost forever because he was a damn failure. The sound of punches and groans let the demon snap out of his self-pity. Outside the room something was happening, and it quickly came into the room as well, like a storm. A red fox, as large as a wolf, and with a face similar to a wolf more than to a fox, entered the room first. Its black mane was standing on end, giving it a much more intimidating appearance. Mouth opened and the large ears turned towards the demon, it stared at Occult for what seemed to be minutes. When the priest attempted to finish his work, the wolf fox growled and barked. Startled by the ferocity, the Bible landed on the ground with a loud thud. A tall man followed the creature. He wore a black chalk-striped suit, a fitting vest and white shirt. The dark grey fedora sat deep enough to conceal the eyes. "You are not meant to be here," the priest uttered at the confident man. "Am I not?" The intruder raised his chin, revealing blood-red eyes. A slight smile split his lips, whereupon the demon recognized sharp fangs. "I was in need of some quick food after all." The priest only barely suppressed a fearful screech. "Nosferatu!" The smile of the vampire broadened. Walking past the human in a nonchalant manner, the vampire cut the rope binding Occult. Flooded by relief over the puzzling rescue, the demon's legs wouldn't carry him. "Wilper, take care of him." The vampire's voice seemed strangely warm as he talked to the wolf fox. Occult had been afraid to escape failure just to enter doom, but something made him relax. Before passing out, he felt the soft, thick fur beneath him.